It's almost May, which means that lacrosse season is heating up. Ethan, we're deciding who the pretenders and who the contenders are.
Yeah, we're going to look into our Magic 8 balls as well. Austin got some lacrosse and baseball takes. Plus, I'm taking on Rahill, Jaiswal, and the Juicer as well. It's going to be exciting.
It's going to be really exciting. It's Ethan's last show here for No Pulp. All that and a whole lot more. It's an exciting No Pulp, but it starts right now.
Kansas State has been on fire this year.
Missouri is one of the most fraudulent teams in college basketball.
And it was proved
They're not going to fire him. He's the best player in program history.
Side to Lawrence for the win. Yes, he got it.
She is the Shohei Ohtani of college softball.
This is a team that's potentially going to be a top 10 team in the country.
How you feeling?
I'm excited to win the Juicer.
LSU has captured its very first national championship.
Hey there, welcome into No Pulp, Citrus TV. That's Ethan Frank. I'm Austin Barach. Let's get right into it, Ethan. We're talking women's lacrosse out of the gate here. Northwestern, #1 in the country, played at #4. Michigan in Ann Arbor over the weekend. Tough battle back and forth. Northwestern prevailed 13-12. Ethan, going through the highlights, this team, this is a team that I think is just inevitable. They're too good. They have too many options. They're going to get it done, I think.
Yeah, you said the word. It's inevitable.
Yeah.
Izzy Skane is the best player in the country. There's no doubt about that. She won the Tewaaraton Award last year. She is probably going to win it again this year. I mean, Northwestern with a 7-2 advantage in the third quarter. And that, even though this was only ended up being a one-goal game, that really decided that the way this game went. It was the only 15 minutes of the game that Northwestern ended up winning, but it was such a sizable margin. This team can win in so many different ways. They can blow you out. They can beat you in close games. They've got all the championship experience in the world. They have the legacy of being one of the best programs in all of women's college lacrosse.
They got the stamp of approval from Bill Belichick.
They really cannot be stopped.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this game back and forth, and it started at 11 a.m. local time. Skane had the hat trick.
You know, I've heard they say nothing like 11 a.m. at Ryan Field for football. It might be a little different for
right,
women's
that's always a weird Big Ten games right there in the fall. But the game winner ended up being from Dylan Amonte. The color commentator thought that it was Izzy Skane because there's so many good options on this team. 13-2, like you see up there. Only 2 losses were earlier in the year against good teams themselves. I think it's the perfect amount of losses, and they're battle tested. This was a perfect example of that. They needed to win this game to win the Big Ten, and they got the job done.
Yeah, Michigan was down by 4 and came back to tie the game with 5 minutes left. So a really impressive battle and heart from the Wolverines. But this Wildcats team is just too talented. They're too well coached. They have this pedigree about them that it's an intimidation factor, and they are a really scary team as we head into May next week.
It's utter dominance. 9 of the 12 weeks this season, they've been ranked #1. I think they just continue to roll. It'll be tough to see a team beat them because, again, they're the default team. Somebody has to beat them in order to beat them.
I think it's going to be really hard to do it. I think there probably are a couple teams that can do it, but Northwestern has to be the prohibitive favorite right now to win the national title. On the men's side of things, it was an exciting weekend as well in college lacrosse. Syracuse and Virginia, a big-time game in the Dome. #4 versus #6. The Orange, a huge comeback victory to cement themselves in the ACC tournament and likely the NCAA tournament as well. We were both there. What an atmosphere, what a game, what a moment for Gary Gates' crew.
Ethan, after the game, I did some reflection, and I looked at, I compiled the list of all 49 games I've been to in the Dome for various reasons, and this game was my 3rd favorite game I've experienced in the Dome. Indiana double overtime in 21, basketball, and the Quadir Copeland buzzer beater. Quadir going to a different team, of course. We'll find out soon. But this game was incredible, right? Yeah. The runs. I mean,
yeah, I got
Billy Dwan with a 2-minute unreleasable after Schellenberger scored for like his 8th point of the game, 9th point of the game even, and then the Stevens goal. The Thompson slip and score. The Billy Dwan goal, yet again. He scored in so many unique ways this season. And then Sam English to cap it off. This was English's game, man. He was hyping up the crowd. He was chasing people all over the field all game, contesting everything. Ground balls, caused turnovers, big time shot, got free, hands free, center of the field. What a perfect lacrosse game.
Yeah, the runs is what I want to hit on. Here's some numbers for you. Virginia was up 4-1. Then Syracuse was up 7-4. Then Virginia was up 10-9. Then Syracuse was up 13-10. Then Virginia was up 17-14, and Syracuse obviously wins 18-17. So you look at the seesaw of this game. You know, every sport is really, but you know, basketball and lacrosse specifically, games of runs.
Yep.
When you're accumulating lots of goals or lots of points, and this was one of those games. What did my guy Lars Tiffany say that the creators of lacrosse would be proud of how this game and would be happy with how this game was played? I mean, that's as high as a compliment you can get from one of the best coaches in all of college athletics, I should add, by the way. Paul Gates' number being retired as well, a really special halftime ceremony, really touching video from his twin brother Gary, and then Paul speaking to the Dome for what felt like ages.
A while.
Yeah.
He was going.
He was really happy to be there. It was really nice to see him and deserved to be up there in the rafters next to his brother Gary.
Joey Splint, the elephant in the room, 0 points. I'd imagine if they could get him going to these big-time games, it would be like Happy Gilmore learning to putt. It'll be incredible for this team. I believe this team can get to Memorial Day weekend. That should be the expectation. This is a team that's trending in the right direction right now. Well, a guy that's trending in perhaps the wrong direction is J.D. Thompson of Vanderbilt baseball.
Folks?
How about that for a transition right there? He got caught. The Florida is a Vanderbilt-Florida game over the weekend, this past weekend, and the Florida dugout was like, hey, what's going on here? Umpires, you got to check this out. He did the whole rosin bag thing. They checked it out. The announcers thought it was sunscreen, but it turned out he was using some sort of foreign substance. He was ejected. Vanderbilt lost the game. What do you make of this whole situation?
Well, the first thing I'll say is this was sick. Like, so cool. Because you don't see it. You know, like, it's just like... It's just cool. Like, you don't see this happen in college baseball very often. Like, you see major league managers get really upset, but to have the gall to use a sticky substance in this type of a game, like, I have a lot of respect for J.D. Thompson to try to pull this off and to get caught. It's just hilarious that this happened. If I were Tim Corbin, I'd be upset.
He was upset.
Yeah, I'd be upset at Thompson more than anything else. But you think about this from a Florida perspective, like, are you allowed to snitch in baseball on a pitcher?
I mean, it's all about gamesmanship, especially in the game of baseball. I mean, you look at it up there. You can't alter the ball in any way. The pitchers cannot do anything to face the ball.
And there it is, the last one. No foreign
moisture
substance
to the ball. So.
It seemed like he had something on his forehead.
Look, this might be a take. I'm pro. Use whatever you want.
There's this great Tyler Glasnow video that I saw a few weeks ago, where he's like, it's just about getting a grip on the ball and making sure, like, there's a reason why pitcher injuries are so common.
Right.
It's because they're throwers, not pitchers, and the guys that pitch are the ones that are successful. And if you're just, as long as you're not using something like Spider Tack or something serious like that, then it's not too bad.
Exactly. And I loved Tim Corbin after the game. He was so tight with the reporters, I should say.
I would imagine.
He was like, what do
you think he's more mad at the umps or his pitcher?
I think Florida for snitching. He was like, they're going to go to the SEC and file a complaint, and I don't know what happened. I've never seen this before. It's just all this coach speak, grumpy. Obviously, the team lost. Vanderbilt lost. That inning, they were good, but it was the next inning, the fifth inning. This happened in the fourth, where Vanderbilt lost control of the game. So an interesting situation all around.
Anytime you replace a pitcher mid-game and someone has to warm up as fast as they can, they're never actually warm when they get in the game because you feel bad. You want to rush and get in there to help your team and speed the game along. So just unfortunate.
Right. Very fascinating situation here in the SEC and college baseball as a whole. But don't go anywhere. We're up against our first break. When we return, we're looking in the Magic 8 Ball to discover some predictions we have for lacrosse. Don't go anywhere.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look.
Hey there, welcome back to No Pulp alongside Austin Barach. I'm Ethan Frank, and as you can see, we got the Magic 8 Ball right here. Have you ever used a Magic 8 Ball?
No, I have not. I don't know.
What do you, if you were ever to have one in your possession, is there something you'd want it to tell you?
Are the Celtics going to win the title this year?
I knew you were going to talk about the Celtics.
Yep.
I knew.
You know me too well.
I know you too well. I'm going to look into my Magic 8 Ball and tell you a little something about men's lacrosse. You know, we talked about the women, we talked about men, we talked about baseball. Let's focus on the ACC. I think for the fourth time in 5 tournaments, barring the 2020 season that was postponed because of COVID, I think that an ACC team is going to win the national championship again.
I mean, the best teams are in that conference right now. Only Hopkins is in that mix right now. Clearly the best teams are in there. Notre Dame, they've been on top for most of the season. Duke's been on a tear as of late. Syracuse is getting back to the mountaintop, and Virginia, they have that pedigree. We talked about it last time. Carolina will not be in the mix, unfortunately for them. But you look like these teams are going to be meeting each other in Charlotte in a couple weeks. The winner of that tournament has to consider themselves probably the best team in America.
You would think so. You would think they would be the #1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament. I mean, you look at the last 4 years, Notre Dame, Virginia. I mean, Maryland's an old school ACC school. So for the diehard ACC fans, you could even consider a Maryland title, an ACC title. So it might really be each of the last 4 champions. But this year will be the 4th in 5 tournaments that an ACC school, and it could be Syracuse, could be Duke, as you said, it won't be North Carolina.
It'll be a lot of fascinating storylines, and that's what segues me to my prediction for my Magic 8 Ball. And this is really cool. Piggybacking off of that prediction, I think this year the ratings are going to be tremendous for the championship game. You look at it right there. They will break the record. Now, last year,
what is the record?
757,000 people viewed the championship game. That was the most since 2007. I'm not sure what it was in 2007, but I think this year they break it. I mean, you think of the marketing of the women's basketball tournament. I think the marketing is only going up and up for men's lacrosse right now. I mean, you got Dan Orlovsky tweeting about it. I mean, Pat McAfee's a huge fan of it. He had the Kavanaughs on after the championship game last year when they played through like torn hamstrings. You got Paul Rabel speaking truth to the matter. He's doing great stuff in the PLL. You got all those storylines, like I mentioned. You know, Notre Dame trying to repeat. Duke trying for revenge after losing to Notre Dame. They've been on a tear ever since losing at Syracuse. The Orange trying to win title number 12. This is Syracuse's best team since 2017. And then you got Virginia trying to get there. Hopkins, they're a historic program as well. Really historic. A lot of similarities, a lot of storylines. People love storylines. People love familiarity.
They love narratives.
And this is going to be a tournament that's going to push those narratives. I think it'll be a really, really good tournament, really good championship game.
Do they get to 7 figures in viewership?
Yes. Yes, they do.
So over 1 million viewers.
Over 1 million.
That's going to be a huge potential jump for this, Memorial Day. What could be a celebration for probably an ACC team, if it was up to me. Let's shift over to baseball, and I'm kind of going along the same lines here with my next look into the Magic 8 Ball. I think an SEC team is going to win the College World Series for the 6th time in the last 7 iterations of the event. I mean, you think about the SEC, you think a team like Texas A&M. How about Arkansas, which last I checked had the shortest odds to win the College World Series. Of course, you have teams like Tennessee and LSU that are in the mix every year. They have the top 4 teams in the country. Kentucky's having a phenomenal year. 6 in the top 25. All of the best talent that you see around the nation is mostly consolidated in the SEC. That's my guy, Alan Espinal, right there. I know him very well. I mean, that's a Vanderbilt team that has had a really good year, won the national championship in 2019. I actually remember, here's a fun anecdote. Alan Espinal once, I asked him, who plays for Vanderbilt, would you rather win a College World Series or would you rather win an MLB win the World Series?
Yeah.
Win the World Series. And he said, would you rather win with your brothers or with your friends?
Wow.
How deep of an answer is that?
That's really, really deep. I mean, it must be nice for him to have those kind of options.
I'm not sure if he does, but in your dreams, of course. In the Magic 8 Ball, maybe you see both.
Right. In a similar line, Ethan, you took the grand scheme of things. Let me focus on the individual level for my Magic 8 Ball prediction. We're going out to the WAC, the Western Athletic Conference, for this one right here. I'm looking at a pitcher. That pitcher's name is Brandon Danner. Cue up that Magic 8 Ball, because there he is. He will be first team All-WAC, 6'5", 225 junior. He's the real deal. A 2.29 ERA. That's top 25 in America. Second best among starters in the WAC conference. I mean, there's some other numbers that are really, really good with him. He's a workhorse, right? 59 innings pitched, 14th best in the country right there. 8 of his last 10 outings, he's got at least 6 innings. This guy is super, super efficient. He can effortlessly throw 94 through 96. You saw the videos up there. He can paint the corners with the best of them. No surprise, he was awesome last year in Alaska for the Mat-Su Miners. Best ERA, best whip on the team. He's calm, cool, collected. The heart rate never goes up. Brandon Danner having a terrific year out at Cal Baptist, first team All-WAC coming up.
I'm not sure there's nothing you can't like about this guy. I'm all in on that prediction as well. All right, that'll do it for our Magic 8 Ball. We still got a whole lot more still to come here on No Pulp. It's time to get to the juicer. Hoping to go on a high note. Austin's got something to say in that. Rahill is up next. We'll be right back.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Got a quarter?
Welcome back to No Pulp, Juicer Edition, America's favorite game show. Ethan Frank and our guest, Rahill Jaiswal. Yeah, guys, I gotta ask, you're the veteran, you're the rookie. 0 career Juicer appearances?
Yes, this is the first one.
And what's your career record, Juicer?
Good question. I know I've never lost as a host on the show.
That's intimidating. Well, this is Women's Lacrosse Edition right here. Ethan, you'll go first. 1 point for the first question, then it's 2 and 3. Who is going to win the Women's Lacrosse National Championship?
Well, you know, the fun answer would be to say Northwestern, and that would be the easy answer. But I don't want to take the easy road. How about Boston College? This is a team that won the national title in 2021. They played Northwestern close each of the last 2 years. Championship pedigree, great coaching staff, great leadership. They know how to win close games. And yes, you could say all you want about Northwestern, the prohibitive #1 team in the country. We talked about them. It would take a perfect game to beat them. I think Boston College could play that perfect game, and it has the talent to compete with a team like Northwestern. We just saw them beat Syracuse in overtime last week.
Sure.
Syracuse, the #2 team in the country. I really like this BC team.
Rahill?
I see what you're trying to do here, trying to play the card to get sympathy on your side here. It's the easy answer, and it's Northwestern. I'm telling you guys, this is the perennial championship favorite, and because they can beat you in multiple different ways. You guys were talking at it before. Izzy Skane playing at another unbelievable level. at an unbelievable level. Madison Taylor as well. This attack can beat you any which way you want. And oh, by the way, you talked about the game against Boston College earlier this year. They beat them. How about this? In a year where there's been so many upsets, Northwestern has stayed consistent. 8 weeks atop the #1 poll. And how about this? 8-1 against ranked opponents. Michigan, they couldn't beat them. Syracuse, they couldn't beat them. Boston College, they couldn't beat them. Maryland, they couldn't beat them. It's easily Northwestern. They are going back-to-back. You can book that, Austin.
Book it.
You can book it.
Maybe I should
call
my friends at Beat the Bookie.
Defending a title is not an easy feat. It's really
They're
hard.
going to do it, though.
Well, we're keeping it simple for this pick. I'm going with Rahill. I mean, Northwestern, we talked about Ethan. They're really, really good. Almost feels inevitable. So Rahill, the early 1-0 lead right there, Ethan. Plenty of time to bounce back. Rahill, on a hot streak right now, you get to answer the first right here. This question is, who is the women's Tewaaraton winner? Going to be a lot of good options.
There's a lot of good options, and I'm going to go with Ellie Macera of Stony Brook. Now, when I say Stony Brook, you might be thinking, what? Stony Brook is not really a well-recognized
Joe Spallina.
Joe Spallina.
You think of Joe Spallina. He gave an unbelievable press conference after that Syracuse game, by the way. But Ellie Macera has been playing at an elite level. How about leading the entire nation, tied for second, by the way, with 88 total points, top 10 in the nation in goals. She has been absolutely fantastic this season. And oh, by the way, she does multiple different things. How about 4 games this year with 10+ draw controls? She does everything for this team. Without Ellie Macera, Stony Brook is nowhere near the top 15.
Probably true. Ethan?
Okay, how about Izzy Skane? You just talked about how Northwestern's going to win the national title, and yet you're sitting here saying that someone on Stony Brook is going to win the Tewaaraton? That might be the most outrageous thing I've ever heard. She has all the talent, all the experience in the world, knows how to win, knows how to perform on the biggest stage, 4th in the country in goals, already crossing the 60-goal mark. And I just talked about what it's like going back-to-back. When you think of an award like this, going back-to-back, think of Nikola Jokic winning back-to-back NBA MVPs. I mean, you think about Patrick Mahomes winning back-to-back Super Bowl MVPs. This is the type of level of athlete that Izzy Skane is. She's going to win another Tewaaraton.
It's really hard to go with someone not named Izzy Skane. Ethan gets the 2 points right there. I read today that she's 7 goals away from breaking the all-time NCAA goals record. That's really impressive stuff. All right, final round right here, 2-1, Ethan on top. We go back to Ethan for the final question. The best performer of last week. We talked about all these Tewaaratons, but last week, who was it in women's college lacrosse?
It was Erica Chung from the University of Pennsylvania. How about the Quakers? A program record 8 assists in a rivalry game against Brown. I mean, this is a performance that she will remember the rest of her life. She's top 25 in the country in total assists, top 20 in assists per game. This helped Penn clinch a spot in the Ivy League tournament. I mean, she is setting her team up for postseason success. And you know, when you think about the Ivy League, you know one thing about the Ivy League? Ivy League athletes are students too. She's doing all this while balancing an incredibly difficult course load. She is a tremendous athlete, and she should be deserving of a pick here.
All right, does your athlete hit the books in the classroom?
I don't know about that, but it's Rachel Clark, and last I checked, they played against Brown. Brown is not the best competition. How about Rachel Clark, a hat trick in the 4th quarter alone against the #2 Orange to lift them, break their perfect ACC record this season. Oh, by the way, she's been absolutely phenomenal this year as well, but Syracuse even made a concerted effort in that game. Do not let her get the ball. She still found a way to score. How about a hat trick in the 4th quarter? And by the way, the goal that sent the game to overtime, she also throws an assist there for good measure. It's Rachel Clark. You have to do it against the best competition. That's exactly what she did, Austin.
2 really, really good options that I could choose from. Unfortunately, Rachel Clark going against a Delaney Schweitzer that is simply not as good as she was last year. And as Erica Chung, I mean, she's had so many games this season with a lot of assists. But 8 of them is really tough to beat.
It's Brown,
Clark had 9 games this season.
I am filing for grievances like the Sixers are.
Multiple hands.
We'll call up Nick Nurse. Ethan is our winner. Congratulations to Ethan Rahill. Really valiant effort, but we're up against one more break here. After this break, final words. You don't want to miss it here on No Pulp.
Did you know dragging chains can spark a wildfire?
Only you can prevent prevent wildfires.
Hey, welcome back to No Pulp. Thanks so much for sticking along with us. I'm Ethan Frank. There's something I got to get off my chest. And now that we're in a world where football and basketball are no longer being played at the collegiate level, I just got to say, there's a reason why women's basketball has blown up to the point where when you watch a game on ESPN, it does not feel like watching anything different than a men's game. At a certain point, the network decided to invest in its coverage of women's basketball. So when a generational superstar like Caitlin Clark came around, it had the infrastructure ready to support those broadcasts with the same production value it would a big-time men's college basketball game. Coaches and players always talk about growing their respective sport. And we're now in the time of the college athletics calendar where the games are not normally on national television. Regular season college baseball, softball, and lacrosse are games most people don't plan their weeks around, but anyone can get up for a championship game if it's marketed correctly. Last year's College World Series finals averaged nearly 3 million viewers on ESPN. The men's lacrosse national championship, like Austin talked about earlier, averaged barely over 750,000, and the women's lacrosse national championship averaged barely over 300,000. It's evident that when basketball ends, the majority of people tune out college sports because the NCAA doesn't care enough about working with its broadcast partners to invest in the product to make it appealing to a broader audience. You can't grow the game without putting resources into it. That's the reality of college sports after the first week of April. Follow the women's college basketball motto. Actually invest and take some ownership of your product. And maybe you'll start to see a bit of a return on your investment.
Great words there, Ethan. For my final word, I'm talking about Notre Dame men's lacrosse and its quest to repeat. Psych, I am fascinated by the storyline, but for the Irish, but I'm more passionate about using this final word for my friend Ethan in his final No Pulp show. So here's a quick cut-up of some of his best hits.
Kyle McCord was so good and had these high expectations. Why wouldn't he have transferred out and played at a different school instead of sitting behind all these NFL quarterbacks for so long?
Go ahead, go to your point.
Oh, okay. You have been pickled.
Oh, you've been pickled, baby. Come on.
In your final appearance, you have won the juicer and enjoyed some pickle juice. Oh, can I have one?
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Oh, thank you.
Are these keto?
Good enough for me. All right. 17 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. After this performance, I don't see how he's in the Heisman conversation at all.
Nobody at the station exists at the intersection between knowing ball and having fun on this show like Ethan. I'll save the sappy stuff for later, but for right now, I'll just say it's been a pleasure to share the desk with the man on my left. Ethan, it's been a heck of a ride, man.
That's very sweet.
It's been such an honor to be with you. We got to call, the switch, and do it, and this has been a blast. And this show has been so much fun. It was truly
an offer you couldn't refuse.
It really was. So much ball knowledge between these two.
Thank you. I mean, thinking back to what we've gotten to talk about, I know your passion for college basketball is unlike maybe anyone I know. So to talk ball with you and now here, I was saying to our executive producer Sean Dempsey, this is a show where we try to be creative.
Yep.
And the creativity I think shined really bright today. And I'm really proud of what we're able to do and sharing this desk with you. I appreciate that.
We did college baseball, we did lacrosse, we're passionate about everything. Sports. Ultimately, at the end of the day,
when there's someone I want to talk basketball with, I text Austin.
I love texting Ethan Frank about anything, but especially about basketball. And our guy, Ryan Rahill. Well, that's all the time we have here on this No Pulp. It's been a pleasure to work with all the EPs and Ethan this semester. He won't be back in the fall. Hopefully I will be. We'll see you then in the fall of 2024 here on No Pulp.